hello.
Welcome to an in-person Kink at Pride dish.
Surprise! In-person dish tonight, babes. Can you imagine?
Oh my god, I just look like a very sensual trout. We're not doing this for anyone else, apparently. I'm Brooke Cardis, and this is Eileen Galvin.
I'm Eileen Galvin, and welcome back to Cover Dish, the show where we cook it up and eat it.
Oh my gosh, the looks you are serving tonight tell me everything. First of all, love to see the tulle gloves. A subtle, bedazzled tulle glove can dress up any church outfit. Praise him.
Praise him, he's risen. For, frankly, any occasion. They're very versatile.
They do seem versatile.
They go with everything. And this dress is a little ditty I found in a, one of those, like, basement vintage stores. And it's stuck together with hot glue and Joanne Fabric's mixed bag rhinestones. You know the kind.
You know the kind. We all did projects in the 8th grade. So... love this because whenever I go to thrift stores, first of all, my rib cage is not designed from the 50s. Like it is
thank you.
Thick. So I love going to thrift stores with you or like vintage stores with you because you find the thing. You find the thing. And I love this because this is a short dress that because of your height looks really good and is all legs and is serving severe Daphne Scooby-Doo vibes.
Yes. You know what I love? I love a short sleeve length and a boat neck. It's very mod. It's very 60s. It's very now, frankly.
It's very must. I know it's crazy, Keith. We're also feeling it. I'm wearing black and
I'm amazed
gold.
that I made it here tonight.
in her room. I'm wearing black and gold because I have no color pattern or scheme. But I think, you know what?
Iconic. Well, some might say iconic.
Iconic.
I certainly would.
Timeless. And the only hoops I packed. It has been a long day of travel, y'all.
Let me wish you happy Pride. Here's to being classic and iconic.
And I literally said to a friend recently, oh yeah, Eileen currently has a lavender bowl cut. It's her most conservative look. Which is fair.
And it's half of this look.
Right? It's not even all of this look.
I don't know if you knew this. This is my real hair, so.
It looks amazing.
She's pulling double duty tonight.
As she should. Girl, before we get into the real dish, tell me what you made for us tonight for an in-person dish.
Well, I can't take full credit for this because for the first time in Covered Dish history, we actually made something together. Can you imagine?
I can't. All right. So, we're going to demonstrate. Let's see if I can get it to focus.
Yes.
Oh, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, there she is. Ooh, look at that. Look at that sauce is kind of like pooling very alluringly.
We love a pool.
Ooh.
We do love a pool.
Do you have a pool? Can I come over?
Are you free? Can I come over?
I am very hot.
I feel like my eyeshadow is giving like gangrene vibes. Anyways, girl, what did you make us tonight?
So tonight is I've been calling them canapes, but I've learned that maybe that's not technically correct because there's no bread on them. But
oh, yes.
I'm going to call them canapes. So they are a little hors d'oeuvres.
We love putting the hors d'oeuvre.
We do.
Right?
Yeah, you're going to hear that joke many more times.
Absolutely. It was in the promo as well. Yep.
So anyway, they are so simple if you only have 5 minutes to throw something together before you go out the door to a function. So you just cut up little cherry tomatoes and those little, the little balls of mozzarella that come in the tub with all the gross water?
Yep.
So you
so gross.
So you drain the water. And then you cut them in half, and then you stick it together with a little basil leaf on a toothpick, and it kind of looks like a little hamburger, little cheeseburger, which is my favorite part.
And you grew the basil.
I did grow the basil, yes.
So this is a very subtle hors d'oeuvre flex, okay? Because it's very simple, but God, can't ever get it. There we go. It's very simple, but then you're like, oh yeah, I just went back to the garden to grab the basil, and boom, there it is. And then everyone's like, oh my God. So it's like a really fun, I love flexing about my herb garden because I am white. So let's talk about the dairy-free version, which we made, of course.
Yes,
love to see it.
I was about to say, they're great if you love mozzarella. But
they're also great if you love tomatoes and herbs. So cheers, queen.
Cheers.
You're looking fierce. Happy Pride.
Stun. Do you love or you just love?
I think this is my kink. Cannabis.
The basil's really fresh too.
The basil makes it. And you can tell, well, there's one here. Normally my basil's bigger. Right? But I
always say
like
that.
my clitoris.
Yeah.
Giant. And what I love about this is how
Thank you.
petite these are. So you can get your basil leaves a little younger. They fit so perfectly on the canapé.
Mm-hmm. And they really, the baby basil leaves do have like it's not a better or worse flavor for me. It's just a different flavor, like a young flavor. It's very nice.
Yeah. It does feel like
It's
a
nice
little
and
more
fresh.
lemony.
Yeah, it is. There's a little bit of a zest to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, girl, speaking of classic and iconic, Kink.
Kink at Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, so there's been a lot of discourse on this, and we just frankly wanted to talk kink because I was in a robust discussion around what is kink.
Mm-hmm.
When gayness and queerness was considered kink. Just that was considered kink, right? What is it?
They have a shared history.
Right. They're inextricably intertwined, but not the same. Because from a legal perspective, sexual orientation and gender identity are immutable characteristics. The Supreme Court and the jurisdiction in our country classifies as immutable characteristics things that cannot be changed. I want to point that out, though. They can be changed, right? We know gender can change. We also know on that list is religion, which can also change. So immutable doesn't necessarily mean not changing.
Yes. And
in terms of how the kink community and the BDSM community has moved through oppression and marginalization, just like the LGBTQ community and many other marginalized groups, it's not the same. Sure, you can get fired if your boss finds out about your kink, but that's how you have sex, right? And not your identity. So we always want to look to self for an immutable characteristic and not the type of sex you prefer to have to get off. Yeah.
Well, you bring up a really good point, which is that legal definitions are helpful for us to, arbitrate disagreements. That's kind of the purpose, right? But then also there are some limitations.
Absolutely.
Just like language is limited, it is an approximation of what exists out in the wild in the world. And, we also want to be really careful on the dish to say that just because we're pointing out differences did not mean that we are trying to make value judgments about.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we're not trying to compare oppression here. That is a
losing
futile
game.
Yeah, that is a futile
That's
exercise.
how they win. Okay, anyways.
No, I mean that's a good point too. Is that in the political discourse, often these discussions get derailed to promote a certain agenda. So
yes.
But
I will say I think there's a lot of overlap because when we looked up the definition of kink on good old Merriam-Webster, speaking of kinks,
Aunt Miriam said it's what is kink, right? Is like an unusual, outside of the norm type of sex. Yes, and then that begs the question, what's unusual? What's the norm? Right? It's just a downward spiral into more questions.
Right, which is why we're here to not answer. So, girl,
we're here to not answer.
Dish on. I have a story of like the most ridiculous thing I did ever. That I think kind of plays to my kink, but I don't really know. But I want you to go first because your story's going to be way better anyways, and I want to drink my wine.
Well, bold of you to assume my story's going to be better before
your
you've even heard it.
Your stories are always better. Okay, keep going.
It involved this very wig. No. Snatched bald. Dead of night, snatched bald under a bridge. No, so what happened was, the year was, I believe it was the year of our Lord 2015.
Praise him.
No, it was earlier than that.
Yes, it was. It was earlier than that.
I think it was let's say it was 2012. I don't remember what year it was, but it was pretty early.
We didn't live together.
Yeah, back then I was a little genderqueer twink, still identified as a, as male.
Is he,
Yeah, this is you're like, what is this? Is this gay? Is this carpal tunnel? We don't know.
Yes.
I was wearing a brace.
It's both, yes.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, whether you're gay or you're trans or whatever, you come up in the queer community, you come upon all of these. I just realized I said come upon. Anyway, you come on all these expectations, right? People are constantly putting expectations about you about, oh, I want you to present more femme. I want you to, like, oh, only gay people all do anal. Like, stupid stuff.
Right.
And so I feel like this was an example where there was an expectation that I liked to do bondage. Like, oh, that's a thing that gay people do. They do bondage. Where it's like, actually, no, that's not necessarily. There's like, red flag if anyone's like, oh, all people of this certain delineation of experience do this thing. The answer is probably
not great.
Yeah, you just can't talk in like superlatives like that.
Right, for sure.
So anyway, I was dating this guy who was older, surprise.
Quelle surprise, as
Yeah.
Andrew Healy would say. Yes.
Quelle surprise.
Quelle surprise.
And he was like, "Do you like being tied up?" And I was like, "Well, I've never tried it before, so I'm give anything a try once." So I was like feeling just safe enough that we could try it, you know. Like we had never done. This is the first time I'd done this, not only with him but with anybody.
Right.
So he's
and this
like,
was your first sexual encounter with him.
With him, no.
Oh, okay.
Second or third, but it was
But
early. It was early. Yeah. So he goes, "Oh, okay, great," and opens the closet, and there's like all kinds of, you know, tools and paraphernalia.
Regalia.
Yeah, he was ready. Like this was his thing, you know. And so the initial conversation of introducing me to it was not a problem, I feel like.
Okay.
Because he was like, "Oh, you know, let's talk through it beforehand. You know, you've never done it. Let me talk you about like through safety and consent and like, you know, let's figure out what the boundaries are, especially for the first time, which is very important when you're doing anything new, but potentially is role-playing things where people are out of control."
Right.
Because that's good in sexual situations. That heightens the experience. It adds to the pleasure, blah, blah, blah. But you have to be sure you're really clear and communicative. So, Tied Me Up Standing, which is the name of my second album. And my arms are out here and my legs are out here. And he started away from me. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to start walking toward you, and I want you, at any point that you don't feel comfortable, just say stop." So that was the premise. So he took one step toward me, and I said stop.
So you both lived your truths.
Yeah. I think that was a great moment for us.
And I really
loved that for us.
I love that for you. And I love that, like,
yeah.
I think that's really interesting. And one of the things I never thought about with that story, and feel free to comment, is when is the rollout? So when do you kind of say, you know, after 1 or 2 or 3 dates, hey, this is when I need to get off? That's a big rollout.
Yeah, when do I need to get off the ride?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to, like, you don't want it to be the first date, so you don't want to scare anybody away. It's almost like anything else, you know? And then you have to balance it. And it's so much, you know?
It is. It takes a lot. It involves disclosure in a very, you know, like, sensitive, vulnerable way.
Right.
And in that way, there are a lot of parallels between the kink experience and the queer experience.
For sure. And the shame around it as well.
Yes, the internalized shame.
Yes!
We love that. Happy Pride,
Happy
internalized
Pride!
shame.
We're all doing great!
Yeah.
At least I don't have to see all my exes buy a falafel stand this year. Anyways.
Did that happen?
I mean, okay, no. It was Belgian waffles. It was Columbus Pride. I saw like 4 exes all by the waffle stand one year. And I was just like, wrap it up, y'all.
Wrap it up. The parade is leaving. We gotta go.
So I love that. Well, I was actually thinking about it because I have so many ridiculous stories. But I think I've told the stripper story on here.
Yes, you have.
I have told the stripper story.
Which we love.
So if you didn't tune in, we'll look it up and we'll post under here which one it was. But pretty much I had a stripper fantasy and so did my new girlfriend. And we didn't clarify who was who and we both showed up ready to strip.
Yeah, you gotta delegate the right.
That's what we call oopsie coopsie. That was an oopsie coopsie. But here's what's funny.
Yes.
The same person and I had, we were like, okay, she was really into role play. And I was like, I'm ready to show up. But here's the problem, y'all. I'm an actor. Okay, so, like, my background is I was an opera singer, I was an actor, like, I was a director. So when you tell me I have a role, I'm like, where's the script? I'll write it. I got it. I got blocking. Yeah. Like, I commit.
An actor prepares.
And an actor prepares.
Yeah.
Very Uta Hagen. And this person was just like, I want you to wear a short skirt and, like, you know, be the student who, you know, it was a college student, be the college student who needs a better grade than the professor who gives it. And I'm like,
we have this in common. We have that one in common.
I was like, all right, like, what's my middle name? What's my motivation? How do I raise the stakes in this scene? And, like, I was really in it, and she was obviously not in it. And immediately regretted telling me about it. Like, immediately. And I'm like, I had a costume. I did everything, right? Because, like, I'm like, it's a play. It's a play that ends in sex. Those are great. Why wouldn't I love that?
Yeah.
Team that.
I think that you guys are watching 2 different parts of the porno.
Right. Oh, totally.
You're watching the lead-in.
I love the narrative.
Yeah, you're watching the lead-in, and she's watching the follow-through.
I'm a sucker for narrative. I am a sucker for narrative.
By the way, I love just, like like watching pornos for me is like watching cult horror. It's just like it's trying to do one thing, but it's just funny.
Right. You're like, this isn't getting me to the place I need to be. But so yeah, so
that.
There's just been some like I would say like king stumples. If I had a nickel for like every dude who like slapped me without consent, you know what I mean? That's just part of the business.
Oh yeah. Well, let's talk about the difference between kink and crossing a boundary. One time I think I did tell this story on the dish, but one time I was going down on somebody and he pulled my hair without asking, and I said, "Get out of my house."
We love to see it. This is the thing. It's very complicated because I also feel like when it comes to that, there's no excuse for that. I'm going to say that. And I feel like there's so much shame around kink that sometimes people don't share, and then they're in the moment and they make a choice. And it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
But there needs to be space. Oh God, I'm going to sneeze and I can't go on mute.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to sneeze. It's not. It's
okay.
bad.
Where's our technical director?
Cut it, post!
She didn't show up today.
She is a bit of a flooze. Anyways, so...
She's late for every covered dish.
Right, so, like, I think part of the... Right? Like, no, absolutely you shouldn't have done that. And if that was something he was into, how does he bring that up? Because I think there is a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Oh, kazoon tight. You know what? I am going to move this just very slightly because I want you to be...
in the frame.
Fully pictured.
I mean, whatever. But how about those tool gloves,
y'all?
I
love that.
How about those tool gloves? Let's see them again, up and close and personal.
Emphasis on the personal.
Yes. I just think that's complicated.
Eartha.
And with men, there's so much, with people who are socialized male, there's so much internalized shame around what you want, especially if it involves the subjugation or objectification of women.
Yeah.
And especially like first wave feminism, right, which was trying to ban all porn, and it worked in a couple places. Like, how terrifying, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, I like this, but I respect you, you know what I mean? Not that guy. But it's hard. It's hard to have that conversation, especially when socialized to be like, this is what you do with a wife, and this is what you do with someone else.
Yeah. The male gaze and misogyny is woven through everything.
Right, even women. I had,
including some of our disagreements within the community.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Which I will put a pin in that. What were you going to say? Well, I was gonna steer us back towards Kink at Pride.
I love that. I was just gonna say there was a woman I saw on social media who's like, I'm a woman and a feminist, and I blah blah blah, and I think that woman's a cunt. And I was like, yeah, no. Internalized misogyny and sexism affects us all. Anyways, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you're not immune, no matter what your gender is.
Yeah,
Kink at Pride.
It's true. Kink at Pride. It's true. Yeah, who has it? Who wants it? Who needs it? No. So I think that this discussion for me is. It usually, something is involved in this discussion around the family friendliness or like the respectability politics of Pride.
Let's talk about it.
Can we talk about it?
I think we should.
The main problem I have with that is that Kink and Pride have a very long and inextricable history. I mean, just look at in San Francisco, the Folsom Fair and that whole history.
Yep.
I mean, in earlier decades, when we were not enjoying such broad
bank floats with rainbows is what she's talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about Chase Bank. You know what I mean? And like, I love Chase Bank.
And right? It was when the banks chased us. It wasn't a Chase Bank float. See what I did there?
Before there was a run on the bank, we were running the bank.
The bank ran us off.
The year was 1847. Banks had just been invented.
I invented them.
I invented the bank.
I invented the bank.
So, no, I mean, Chase Bank, I called that one out specifically because they have really great, they cover a lot of trans procedures. They have really great corporate policies where it pertains to queer people, specifically trans people.
We love that.
But I think the effect of having Macy's, Chase Bank, Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean? Like, well, not Chick-fil-A.
I was like... They have a float, girl? Can we burn it? Okay.
Yeah, that was my oopsie koopsie.
We all have them.
Yeah, part of the like integrating. Oh, now we're advertising and we're making that part of our broad marketing campaigns. Is that we forget that like Pride is a protest. Remember all that stuff from 2019? Pride was a protest, and it's like, you know what, So let me draw one line here. If there are sex acts happening openly in the street, then I think maybe that you should try to go to Folsom instead.
Right. Yeah,
because I think it's great now that there are kids who are excited about Pride. Look at the videos Nina West's doing about the ABCs of Pride.
For sure.
And I know somebody who's like, I'm so excited to introduce my kids to Pride, and like Nina West has been the model for showing them what acceptance is all about for queer people. So I do want to invite the next generation in and make it an educational moment. But on the other hand, I don't find it inappropriate if you are in like a chainmail thong and like if you have like a, you know, like skimpy outfit, you're wearing like rainbow wings and like walking down in lingerie. Right. That doesn't bother me, but I'm also a burlesque performer. Yeah, so but I also my barometer's a little different, maybe.
That's body shaming in general, right? So then you have to ask yourself, like, that's a level of, I mean, we were raised extremely conservative in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, we wore our shoes until we got into our bedroom, like head to toe, like, you know what I mean? Like, we were very, you know what I mean? But
I don't go to bed without at least 3.5 inches on.
Like just turtlenecks, just layers of turtlenecks,
full coverage.
Like I think that's more reflective of the people who are coming, and I also think if you're coming to Pride, you know, to shock your kids or to have it be like a freak show or something like that, like watch it and don't do that.
Maybe watch it.
Maybe watch it, and the people who. I feel like the people who have this problem are kind of burning the candle at both ends on this one, because I feel like I'm like, all right, well, what's your end goal? Because there's so many ways to educate your kid, like without bringing them to a bunch of people like rolling on a hill eating waffles. Do you know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of different ways you could do this.
Which event are you going to?
Don't even talk to me about it. Pride 2017 in Columbus, Ohio. But, you know, that's the other thing. Oh, these people will bring like their kids to like Comfest.
Hashtag as seen in Columbus.
Which is great. Comfest is great. But Comfest is, in my opinion, way more graphic. On the sex, on the drugs, on everything. Agreed. Like, I just feel like, and it's less joyous and more like debaucherous.
And more like, I'm like overheated and tired and I want to go home.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I just had too many cookies and I need a nap. So, I guess I don't know.
We definitely got the better spot in the season.
Oh, fuck yeah, we did. Yeah.
For Ohio summer.
Privilege. But I think it is definitely one of those things where you got to balance it, because I really think there's just such a small minority of people who have a problem with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember my first New York Pride. Oh my god.
Let's talk about first Prides. Walk us through it.
So I was working at Glimmer Glass Opera. Shouts to the opera. And I had my first like opera girlfriend. And she was a lighting designer. She worked in New York City.
Of course she was.
And she was a lighting designer for the Rockettes, which, can we just talk about how insecure I was?
How many carabiners did she have? I want to know. America wants to know.
So many carabiners. So many carabiners.
Those jingle keys.
And she made like an amazing lentil vegan soup. Obvi.com.
Oh my god.
Obvi.com. So anyways.
Match me to heaven.
I know. I do love lentils. I'm a sucker for a lentil. Everybody knows it. I'm very open about it. So, it was, you know, I'd been to Buffalo Pride. I'd been to a couple other Prides, but it was New York City, right? It's New York Pride.
Amazing.
And I went and I was like, I'm going to wear a t-shirt that kind of shows my nipples. And it was really great. And I got like a lot of support. And of course, she was an older woman, Kelsey Breeze. And I mean, you know, we walked in and there's just like, there's kids, right? And then there's like people, like women with nipple clamps on, and that's it. And I was just like, range. New York, you have range. And you know what's interesting about
level set.
The interesting thing about New York Pride Parade at the time was there was almost, even in the layout of the watching of the parade, the beginning was more family friendly, and the families knew that. And then the people who wanted to just wear nipple clamps and a feather would be at the end where the party was. And it actually, like, there was no discussion. It was like community regulation. It was just like community helping each other out and being like, all right, the families, and we'll show up for that. The people in the parade were like, we'll show up for that. We're still going to be in our thongs. We're not adjusting our outfits.
I'm not going to like change out of my thong.
Right. God. Right.
I parked 6 blocks back.
Oh my God. The chafing. So. So much chafing. I know. So
that got me.
It was just like one of those things where I guess I saw the breadth of like how everyone could celebrate Pride, and that's why this to me is so dumb. So.
Well, yeah. Let's not
wait. Go to your first Pride.
Well, before I get there, let's not be too restrictive of what people's experience of their freedom is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm talking about, like, you know what? There is a non-graphic way. Like, there's a BDSM flag.
Right.
And there's a group of people on a float. And there might be somebody who says, I'm really into docking. And you know what? Timmy might lean over and ask you, what is docking, Mommy?
Right.
And you can say, that's an adult thing, Timmy.
Right. Also, I don't know what docking is.
We don't need to get into it. That might have been the most adult thing I've ever said.
Oh my god! I don't know what it is. Wait, someone comment.
This is gonna no, don't comment. This is gonna be some reverse psychology stuff where people are gonna start flooding the chat with depraved sex acts, and we don't need that for our algorithm, girl.
Okay. All right. So, as we
Spicy.
wrap up, tell me about your first pride.
Okay. I had one more thing I wanted to say too.
Okay.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I had more to add. No, but let's also talk about the role and the work that BDSM queer bars have done in the community. And so if you're gonna sit here and tell me that like the leather bar can't come to Pride and
Oh fuck that.
yeah, and
R.I.P. Exile.
oh Exile, can I just say how much I loved Exile? Get in the chat. Tell us about anyway.
Tell us how much Eileen loves Exile.
Yeah, tell us how much I love Exile. But you know what I mean? They deserve to be at Pride.
Facts.
And they have done the work and they've been in the community. And I think that is part of the gay world that I would like to see.
I love that.
My first Pride was in 2012. And I was dressed as the Pink Panther. But like if the Pink Panther was just a thong and a bra and a tail.
And that was your first Pride?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased about the discussion of kink at Pride because some people think that kink at Pride is just wearing underwear in the parade. And to that I say, I really question whether you need to be wearing that much.
Okay, every
here.
time I lived with Eileen Galvin, every time I came down the stairs, and when we lived together, I was just starting my comedy career, and I was still trying to figure it out. And there's so much internalized misogyny in comedy. You're like, well, I don't want to dress too slutty because then I won't be taken seriously as a comedian, which is super fun and not exhausting at all. It is. And I would
Very exhausting.
And fortunately, I had some really friendly venues the first few years that like really just let me be myself. And I'd come downstairs and I'd be like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm showing so much skin. And he would just look at me and be like, take it all off. Like, you could just strip everything down.
We need to start over.
Maybe just a handkerchief over one nipple and like some tulle.
Yeah.
And we're back to the tulle.
Have you ever seen Spice World? Listen, if they were in midriff belly shirts, then so can we.
Well, they were midriff belly shirts like on a tour bus. You know what I mean? Like they were even in less on stage, which I love to hear.
Remember the 90s when you were wearing like a bias cut satin napkin?
Oh my god. Yeah.
With halter string ties.
Oh my god.
And it was like, I don't care if people can see my nipples. I actually don't care.
I saw a young woman.
Free the nipple.
Just flew back from an international trip.
You saw a woman.
And there was a woman yelling at a airline attendant.
Yeah.
And she's like, I live in Austin. And I am going to miss my flight. And she was just everything about Austin, Texas in one like thing. And I have friends in Austin. I love friends in Austin. But she was Austin. And she had on one of those shirts in an airport. Which, like, can we just talk about it as a sidebar? I don't have a problem with kink at Pride. I have a problem with kink at airports.
Kink at airports.
Cover yourself up. It's disgusting in there. It's not about that. It's how gross and how many germs there are.
Why is no one talking about the issues?
Kink at airports. Next week on the dish. So before we go, I'm going to find out what docking is after this. So get ready for that. And I have a live show.
So sorry about the docking.
Everyone Google it.
Yeah.
I have a live show if you're in Columbus, Ohio this Thursday.
Yes. Where's it at?
It's at the Shrunken Head. So we're very excited about it.
Love the Shrunken Head.
Let me look it up so I don't lie. Because that would be just terrible.
You know what? I was actually featured on Facebook after the 2012 Pride when I was wearing Pink Panther lingerie.
Really?
Yeah, there was a shot from behind of my little booty and my tail. And people were talking about kink at Pride then.
I love that. Oh, I love that happened for you.
Well, it was, I mean, all press is good press. You know
yes,
what I mean?
that's very fair. So, Johnny Collins' show, Angie Healy's going to be on it. It's a bunch of other amazing people as well. And it's 9:30 at the Shrunken Head this Thursday.
Is that show or doors?
The show is at 9:30.
Doors at 8:30, baby.
And doors. Yes, doors at 8:30. Also, I love that you were featured. Yo.
No, not featured in a good way. Featured.
Oh.
No, this was the reverse attention. This was like, see, this is the problem with gay people is that they come out and they wear this to a public event. And you know what I said?
That is for us.
Not on my watch.
Not today, Satan. We love you all. We'll see you next week.
So much.
Come out to Shrunken Head if you want. Compliment Eileen's dress if you must.
If you must.
Which you must. And we will see you next week and every Tuesday on the dish.
Mm-hmm. And a healthy reminder that it's probably not a good idea to Google anything that we mention on this show. Bye, everyone. Love you.
Bye.